Topps came in very excited and they said, we're going to do 7 SKUs. We're going to do all this crazy stuff. We're going to get better signers. We're going to get better sketches. You have to understand with actors and actresses, you have to deal with each one individually. Getting them to sign stuff is crazy.
2025 Topps Chrome Deadpool. There's not going to be like an adult collector out there who's not going after that, especially since we know specifically that Ryan Reynolds will sign as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman will sign as Wolverine. My fear with all of these is overprinting. Nonsense is back, everybody. I am so sorry to have left you waiting. It feels odd. That's the best way to describe the fact that I did not have an episode last week. But I think you'll be benefited from the fact that I was gone. It was all because of the responsibility I have to get you as much non-sport information as possible. And I feel like that has been done because now this is the first episode of non-sport talk that we've had where I am going to be able to cover all of the non-sport entertainment, quote unquote, cards that came out announced during Hobby or the Topps conference. So Hobby Nonsense today is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to cover a lot of the detail there. There's been a number of other little things coming up. Did you know that they printed Pokemon cards on top of sports cards as well? That's a crazy thing to me. That's just like that alone would be like a fun, interesting, newsworthy thing, but it's a blip compared to everything that's been going on. I did want to do a quick shout out. Sponsor Courtyard.io, still one of the better sites in the card world when it comes to, it's like a gamifying type feature. If you're not familiar, Hobby is the code. There's also a link in the Instagram page and on the Non-Sports Cards Nonsense Facebook. If you have not tried it, they're doing something a little different. They have added a leaderboard component using their service, doing the vending machines, purchasing products through that on their site each month. You are going to be able to basically show where you rank among everybody else who's using that service. And the winner, so every month, top person gets $1,000. There's also additional prizes. And then the leaderboard resets each month. So just because you were top one month does not mean you'll be the top the next month. You have another opportunity. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of the people on these things, these point systems, it's absolutely incredible. There are people that have like 529,000 points. I don't think it's like a dollar to point ratio. That would be pretty impressive. But that being the case, it still shows you where you rank each month. I think it's a fun, again, this whole process of Courtyard is to give you like the nostalgic feeling of going to the store and you had like you put in a couple quarters and you twisted the little knob and you pulled out the cardboard piece of, I don't know, it's 2 pieces of cardboard where in between there was a Pokemon card or something similar or a sports card. It's very similar, but now it's just in a digital format, but you can have the cards sent to you. I had someone reach out and told me that when they did it recently, not only did they get their value back for what they spent, but they also got the card physically sent to them within, I think it's like 13 days or something, which is actually, for a lot of these companies, that's actually really good. Just from the amount of time from getting it, going through the vault, finding it, getting it shipped out to you. It's a whole process. I think one of the fastest ones is maybe 10 days or something. So 13 is actually pretty respectable. The other factor in this leaderboard component that they're adding is it's not just a first place winner. There's second and third place and fourth and fifth. Basically, there's 100 winners. So you're not just going to win by being the first. The first does get $1,000. Second place gets $500. Third place gets $500. 4th through 10th gets 100, 11th through 20th gets 50, 21 through 50 gets $25, and then 51 through 100, they get their risk-free pack. Basically the same thing you get when you use the code HOBBY on your first pack using their service. So anyways, I wanted to shout that out. I thought it was a really cool, innovative idea, just more gamifying the card hobby. Pop Century I've been breaking for the last couple of weeks. Actually, I started on Friday before we left. So that was like the last Friday in April. If you're into celebrity autos, Pop Century in the past has been a real crapshoot. You could have a great case. You could have a really not great case. they told me before I bought the product this year that they were going to do less boxes altogether, and they were adding a couple additional cards. The couple additional cards are either like a 1-of-1 printing plate or like they call it the 1-of-1 proof card. They're cool. I mean, they're fine. It's not, I don't know if there's really much value to them. I haven't seen much value in the sense of like resale. But that being said, the cases have been exceptional. Like at least the ones that I've been getting. I don't think there's any kind of like, funny business going on. There's no evidence of loaded cases or anything like that. And we've never gotten them before, so I don't think they would start now. But all that being said, the cases we've been getting are honestly some of the better ones I've seen. There was a case we just had, one of the last ones I did, had 2 Margot Robbie autos in there. The 4 auto Cool Runnings card, we pulled that one in one of the first cases. We've pulled Helen Hunt 1-of-1s. We pulled your John Travolta 1-of-1s. We pulled Ben Stiller 1-of-1s. There was one case I think we pulled a 1-of-1 in out of all but maybe one of the boxes. So like at least 9 1-of-1s. Now granted, we all know there's a lot of 1-of-1s, right? That's not a question. But obviously the 1-of-1 still sells better than like the out of 15 or 20 or whatever the case may be. So the fact that there's like a few more of them, more people end up being happy at the end of the break. I think it's just an overall better quality of product this year. The price did go up a little bit, but it wasn't crazy. So all that being said, I like Pop Century this year. I wanted to shout out the things that I like. The other thing that's coming out this coming week is V-Friends. We'll probably talk a little bit about that with Stephanie. Ever since having the interview with Gary Vee, I've kind of changed my mind a little bit about it. But again, it's one of those where I'm cautiously optimistic, but the price has gone insane. Like people are paying $400 in some cases for a box. I don't know if that's going to maintain. I think it's honestly, I can't judge it as of yet because it's openly a new thing. It's not something that many of us are used to. We don't know much about these characters. Now there are some diehards who know because they've been watching the cartoon. They're familiar with like how the TCG worked. This is not a TCG. This is something separate from that, but it is still highlighting the characters. It will have some celebrity autos in there. But at the end of the day, this is supposed to be like the beginning of like a new character set, something similar to like Pokemon. Will it get there? Time will tell. But at this point in time, you can see there's a lot of marketing behind this, or at least maybe just like guerrilla marketing, just a lot of individuals out there. I don't know if they've just created these Instagram pages, but I'm seeing out of the woodworks, all these guys like, Bobby at V-Friends following, or Sarah at V-Friends following. It's like all these diehard V-Friends people. It's very, very interesting to see it happen. I'm very proud to be a part of it. I think it's really cool, but at the same time, I'm very cautious just to see, I don't want anybody taking advantage of either. So I don't want anybody buying at the highs of this thing and then getting crushed if they decided to resell or what. But I'm also curious, are people buying and just holding it? Are they going to be thinking like, this is the next big thing, like the Pokemon first boxes were? If we had known at that time, there'd be a lot more people hoarding it. All right, guys. Well, that brings us to the portion of the show where we have a very honored guest to join the Hobby Nonsense show. She's been on Sports Cards Nonsense before. We have Stephanie of Mama Breaks joining the show, and I couldn't be happier because of all the people out there, I know she's one that appreciates the non-sport community more than a lot of others. So I'm very thankful to have you on, Stephanie. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me on, Jesse. I'm great. It's Revenge of the Fifth. I feel amazing.
Okay, so here's the thing. How long has Revenge of the Fifth been a thing? I heard this last night while we were doing break stuff, and I was like, is this new? I wasn't familiar. I knew of May the 4th be with you, but yeah.
For as long as I remember, I've even wondering how long was May the 4th a thing. Just it's one of those things.
How long were you breaking yesterday?
13 hours.
Want to brag? I've broken for 17 hours. I'm not bragging about it. However, I've never done what you did, which is move more product than I have ever seen anybody move, especially on the non-sport side. You were like a machine, and down to like the last hour, I was telling guys in my breaks while you were live, because I had yours up. I was just like, I wonder what she's I wanted to see what you were pulling, because I was doing Masterwork at the time. You were doing some other non-sport, or you were doing other Star Wars products. And I was like, oh, I want to see if there's anything good. And I'm watching you and I'm like, you are still moving lightning fast, opening all of these cases, going through all the cards. I'm like, this girl is one of the best breakers out there. I was very impressed. I want you to know I have a massive amount of respect for what you do.
That means a lot to me coming from you, Jesse. Being that I started on Card Shop Live while I was still a teacher. I was getting home from work around 5 o'clock, and I was doing my, my basketball and my Star Wars streams back then. And I remember my first ever Star Wars case break was 2021 Masterwork, and I did a random mini box, and you got a spot.
That's so cool that you would remember that. I can't believe you would remember that. That's so cool. Yeah. I remember ever since I knew you were in the breaking field, I was like, oh, I loved your energy. You knew something about this product. You didn't seem like you were just like a fair weather fan. You actually seemed like, oh, you're into this. I was all about it. So yeah, you deserve the respect that you're getting right now. And that goes to show when we were at the conference, the listeners at home don't know this, but there was a fireside chat, one of the last meetings of the last day, and Stephanie had a question and she introduced herself, and I think Ruben cut you off and made a point of like, as if they didn't know who you were. Like everybody knew who you were. I don't know. I'm very impressed with like the work ethic and how much you're doing to create not just something for yourself, but like for a team as well. So yeah, it's very respectable. So I don't want to, this isn't just we compliment each other's show, but it does at least need to be pointed out. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Jesse. And I really appreciate the accolades, and I appreciate the appreciation so much. I think it's just that it's a matter of putting the hours in over the course of all these years. Like I told you, I did my very first masterwork break 4 years ago, and I felt like yesterday was our best Star Wars day ever. And it's just a accumulation of all those hours spent, and not just me, but my team. And, they work super hard too. So I'm very much a product of everyone who's ever supported me, anyone who's ever bought into a break, anyone who's ever helped me ship, who's ever helped me break. So it's just cool celebration for all of us, and I really appreciate that.
Well, Stephanie, humility I think is underappreciated quality, and you've got a lot of it. Let's go ahead and stop with the niceties, though. We got to cut that out. We got to talk about the non-sport, the entertainment side of the TOPS conference, because that's something that I haven't heard a lot of people going into a lot of detail, but there's going to be a lot of products coming out. We don't have the exact timetables, right? But we do know they announced at least 16 products, one of which was released online at least yesterday, which was Star Wars. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's pronounced Star Wars Meijo, right? Meijo? Okay. Mm-hmm. I asked several people and they kept saying, oh no, May, say it like that.
I'm pretty sure it's Meijo, but I could have somebody come and correct me. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Aaron on stage at the conference said Meijo, but I could be wrong. I told you I was talking a lot during that, so I could be wrong too.
Well, either way, one of them's already been released. This is like it's a Japanese inspired Star Wars product that has been I don't know, it looks like some of the art and imagery on there looks really, really cool. That will come out, I guess. Do you have a release date? Actually, I know like we've been solicited on some of the product, but I don't know when the actual release day is.
So the official release date, according to Pro and the website, was yesterday. I think they had every intention of getting them out before then, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen. I think having May the 4th so close to Celebration was difficult, since they wanted to have the pre-launch there for those exclusive boxes. So I heard that they're getting shipped out latest tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have them this weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's really exciting. Let me ask you, you said one of your biggest Star Wars days yesterday. I was actually kind of happy when I saw there was only 2 new Star Wars products listed, just because I'm all for it. I want there to continue to be Star Wars products and continue always to be Star Wars. But at the same time, I'm like, I've kind of talked about it on this show and other places. It feels like we need a little break, like it's like there's only so much that the hobby really wants and or needs of some of these products before it becomes like, oh, well, I'm getting burnt out. So my thinking was, okay, yes, there's 2 new products listed. That doesn't mean I have recently found that doesn't mean there's only going to be 2 more products listed, because we know there's still the other Star Wars products like Chrome and Galaxy and things like that I assume will still be coming. But I'm glad there was only 2 of the 16 new products were Star Wars.
So I think my take on this is 21 Galaxy Chrome Ultra Modern Star Wars cards, huge, right? Created this huge influx of demand for Star Wars cards all of a sudden. So Topps came in very excited, very gung-ho about it, which is awesome for me, awesome for us who love it, right? And they said, we're going to do 7 SKUs. We're going to do all this crazy stuff. We're going to get better signers. We're going to get better sketches. And then once the logistics of all of those things kind of played out, then it was like, oh, this is way harder than we thought it was going to be. It's easier to do that with sports in a sense because they have the association and all these relationships with the players associations that they could get autos pretty quickly. But you have to understand with actors and actresses, you have to deal with each one individually. Getting them to sign stuff is crazy. So that alone, we wanted better quality signers. They did it. It took them a while. I'm glad it didn't come out until they got that done. And so what ended up happening is all these products that came out this first quarter were supposed to all trickle throughout last year. So I think they're amazing for understanding that, okay, they kind of learned our lesson and now they're putting a lot of those cool products that we love all into one. So like a composite Smuggler's Outpost, where we're going to have Topps Chrome Black, they're bringing in some Stellars, and we can enjoy all these awesome products that they've created that we like. But instead of having single sets for each one, we'll have the best cards of every set in one product. I think is awesome. I'm super excited about that product.
I agree. And that's one thing I don't think I was going to mention on here. So if you guys are not familiar as of yet, so Smuggler's Outpost is the other product other than Meijo that Star Wars announced. But it's going to be one where it's like, is your idea or your understanding of what that product will be is like they're kind of taking, is it maybe unsold hits or something, like product that maybe didn't sell, and then taking the hits from there and making one, like a composite-esque product or something where they'll take all of these different SKUs, putting them into one and then reselling it so guys still have access to those hits? Or is it something like maybe different where they're just going to print new stuff from those SKUs?
I wasn't under the impression that it was old stuff. So I think it's pretty new stuff, like a Chronicles football, Chronicles basketball, where you have like a bunch of different inserts and different pieces from different sets. So that's what I was understanding, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
Well, that's the thing. We don't there's only so much detail that we got on all of this stuff. So it's like we can only go into speculation on.
And they want it to be that way. They want to surprise us because I'll ask and they'll say, you got to wait. So,
which I don't like that part of it. Though what's funny is when I had Aaron Abrams on the pod a few months back, and we were talking about some of that stuff about, how difficult it can be to get autos and how that process they really found does take a lot longer. The things that you mentioned was, you have to go around to each individual for autos. I actually, a friend of the SCN show sent over this last weekend an announcement that SWAU, which is it's basically an agency, signed with Fanatics. There's a partnership deal, so they will have access to all of this list of celebrities that will be able to sign for future products. Now, a lot of those celebrities we've already seen on some autos, but I mean, you've got, I think the first one on the list was like Kevin Costner, which I don't think Kevin Costner's really been in anything either Marvel and or Star Wars related as of yet. But then you've got like Tom Holland, you've got Chris Hemsworth. There's a lot of like other stars that we've already seen. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. That is one way that they could get a lot of these entertainment autos all together as is to partner with an agency that represents all of these stars. Now, granted, they're not going to represent everybody, so they'll still have to go one off on some of them. But it did make me think, oh, wow, they're really taking the bull by the horns here and making strides to try their best to get these autos lined up for future products.
Mm-hmm. It's exciting. They announced a bunch of new signers at the conference too.
Tom Hanks, Which here's what's funny. They have Tom Hanks. They did not mention Tim Allen, but they did tell us separately, at least, that there will be a Tom Hanks, Tim Allen duel for Buzz and Woody for the Toy Story 30th anniversary set, which is going to be very, very cool. You've got Will Smith signing as Genie, Ryan Reynolds signing as Deadpool, Hugh Jackman signing as Wolverine, Billy Crystal and John Goodman signing as Mike Wazowski and Sully, respectively, from Monsters, Inc., Julia Louis-Dreyfus signing as Princess Anna, but also as what is her name? Valentine from Valentina, I think. She's now in the Marvel universe. Jude Law from the Star Wars series, Christopher Walken as Emperor. Oh man, I can't remember his name, but he's from Dune. So Christopher Walken signing from Dune, Lee Jung Jae as Soul, Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho, Orlando Bloom as Will Turner, Halle Berry as Ariel, and Kiki Palmer as Izzy Hawthorne. Aaron said specifically we would have different sets though. Like, so some sets would be the real life autographs of the actors, and others will still maintain facsimile autos when it comes to like if it's the cinematic universe version of that character, or if it's like the animated version of that character, those kind of products would still remain separate and have those different autos depending on which product they're representing. It is funny, like there's a lot of people who hate on them, but there is enough of a market out there that I still think they're cool, especially like how they've designed them. Like if it was like Kakao, how they do them, it's very simple to me. It looks like they just like same auto, just cursive every name. There's not like these real distinctive marks, or at least in past products, that's how it was. And now in what we saw in 2024, Disney Chrome and Marvel Chrome out of the UK, you saw these autos that had like, you know, Wolverine, the E was like the 3 claw marks from his claws. And then you saw like other characters just have more representative of their character, like how their autos were designed. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. And that's kind of how, when you go to Disney World, how a lot of those characters are taught to sign as that character, as like some kind of fun version of that signature. So yeah, I'm happy that they'll keep that in another set, but it's not going to be like, I don't think it'll be intertwined where you'll have like Hugh Jackman signing as Wolverine in the set, and you'll also have the animator or a facsimile auto in the same set.
I don't think it should be in the same set either, but the way I appreciate it is more of an artist design. And people, you know, I guess a thing that people say is like, well, what's the value in it? And it's just another manufactured rarity, you know, another example of manufactured rarity. Why is a red out of 5 more valuable than a green out of 99? Because we put a number on it. It's a lot harder to hit. So these facsimile autos, they're very, very hard to hit. And that's where the value's at. And if you appreciate the artist design around it, then, you know, you want to collect it.
Yeah, people. Yeah, I think exactly to your point. Like it just indicates a rarity as well. But yeah, if you can appreciate the design too, there's something for everybody there. I also appreciate it too. Like you were talking about, like, you know how like in Star Wars they've got the debut patches on there. They're going to continue to do that. They did make a point to mention, like, as they bring in new characters, they're not going to put like a first appearance or a debut patch on the card unless it is they're a new character and it's the first time that they're being printed. So if it's an old character that they're just now going ahead and printing, they're not going to put like a first appearance or something like that on there, which I think is good, because I think that's one of the things in the non-sport world we're still trying to get used to. Like, how do we designate like a rookie card, quote unquote? And there's a lot of argument, of course, in that, because some characters have been printed for a very long time, but now that we've got Topps heading up all of this, how do they designate like who's going to be a rookie and who's not? So I like that they've at least got a plan going for that, with the fact that they've already announced like multiple new series at the Japan Star Wars event a week or so ago. They've got all these series coming out. You can pretty much guarantee you're going to see more of those characters on cards. Again, I don't know. I hope they don't overdo it. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm being forced to like this character when, like, I'm not a big fan of it, but it's just like in every set, you know what I mean? So I hope it's like, it has its place. And then we can continue to like some of the more main characters. But I also, at the same time, I want to see new characters grow. I want to see a love for that fandom growing, but I don't know how you do I don't know if you can do that just through the card alone, right? It's like they have to have like some overarching storyline that it draws people in. And I feel like as I watch like Andor season 2, without giving any spoilers, there's some characters from the first season where it's like, oh, they're making kind of bigger moves now, or they're being featured more prominently, or you're seeing more of their backstory and you care more about them. It's like, oh, maybe that will be a bigger Chase character in a future product. Remains to be seen.
I just think it gives them more to do. I mean, you can only, how many sets do you need? 5 different versions of Yoda for the next 10 years. It's very hard with Star Wars cards. So I think bringing in the new characters and kind of giving us the ability to connect with the characters we're seeing on screen while we're watching the seasons unfold, I think is super exciting. It gives them a lot, give us a lot more to chase, a lot more sets, possibilities for different sets.
Well, and just the fact that they're bringing in, like we talked about, all these other, like the Marvel and the Disney products, it's like, okay, well, we have some space in between those sets, so it's okay to have maybe a little less Star Wars product of these characters, which would maybe mean overall less Star Wars products that comes out in a year, but it's okay because it builds the desire for when the next one comes out. And in the meantime, you've still got your Disney, your Marvel, your Dune, and of course the one that was announced that I think caught all of us by surprise was the SpongeBob one. Like, I don't think I had any expectation that they were going to release anything about SpongeBob at this thing.
I think I was probably the peak SpongeBob age. I remember staying up late to watch the premieres, like on Saturday nights after watching marathons throughout the day. So, yep. And I was like 7. No, 7's too young. I was maybe like 8 or 9 years old when this was going on. So I definitely was huge SpongeBob kid.
How old are you, Stephanie? Can I ask you?
32.
32. Okay, so I'm 38. I feel like I thought SpongeBob was pretty funny. Like I thought as a kid it was pretty funny, but it was also like I felt like right on the tail end of when I was still watching cartoons. Like it was one of those where I would still make time for it, but I didn't watch it as much as maybe even my daughter, which is weird to say that my daughter, 20 years later afterward, is still watching SpongeBob, I think is a testament to the fandom of that show. But I did recognize it for how good it was at the time. And now going back and rewatching some of it and seeing some of the new episodes, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a funny show. And I'm really happy that they made a product for it. I think that's really cool. And it gets me excited for what else could come.
I'm with you. I'm so surprised that my kids like it too. They've seen a few episodes, I'm not sure where, but my kids are 4 and 5. And when we'll go out for ice cream and there's like a SpongeBob ice cream thing, that's their favorite ice cream to get because they always think it's so funny to see if it's going to be like, if the face is going to be super messed up or perfect. So that's like our reveal. Like we'll all look around and be like, how does your SpongeBob face look? And they're like, oh, the eyes are all messed up. So we're definitely big SpongeBob fans.
They're like, Mommy, this is a PSA 7. Yeah. Like that's how they're grading these. Is that the one where the eyes are gumballs?
Yep.
Oh yeah. My daughter actually really loved that one too. That's really funny. But yeah,
it's crazy how it's transcended a couple generations.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Like, that's why I think like, oh, you chose to do a set of SpongeBob. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Like that would be one that you would have a buyer base already built in because of the fandom for it. And it's the 25th anniversary. So obviously it's been going on for 25 years now. There's adults and kids alike that enjoy it. And that's honestly, that's their market that they're going after for cards. So yeah, that I think will be a lot of fun. We haven't gotten more detail on it, but I'm very curious to see. I did realize I didn't really touch on some of those other ones that I did have some notes on. The Disney product, the 2025 Disneyland 70th anniversary, that is going to be one where it is essentially like aspects of the Disneyland park. Now, being that I live in Nashville, I've only ever been to Disney World. I've never been to Disneyland. I know that there's, of course, we've all probably heard of the term Disney adult. So there's a lot of people with disposable income that love Disney in the park specifically. So I could see Disneyland 70th anniversary being an appeal to some, but I'm very curious how that set goes and how that appeals to like the broader card audience. I guess that's probably like the biggest question mark in my mind of the sets that they talked about.
Like in Star Wars, they have your products that are portrait sets, right? And then you have your products that are very scene heavy. And you have kind of like hyperspace is still technically a portrait set because it's the single character on the cards that are featured. I'm thinking more like a Chrome Legacy, where the entire set is just scenes from different movies, right? So you have that like Darth Vader crushing the rebels in Rogue One, and that's a card. So those typically do not do as well in the short term for Star Wars. So they're very much have like a very niche collector base, very cult-like collector base, and those people really love it. And like people that really love Disneyland have annual passes and are there and really love to go in and collect the merch and stuff like that. I think for those type of collectors will do very well. I think if they do things where they're tying in other collectibles to it into the set, so meaning like they have an insert set where it's pins.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're those Disney pins. I didn't realize until in the last year or so that those are such a big collectible.
So if there's like a set where it's like Disney's land anniversary pins through the last 20 years and there's 20 of them, then all of a sudden you get a bunch of crazy Disney pin collectors wanting to collect cards. I think that'd be super smart, and I think it would do well.
Stephanie, that's a genius idea. If they don't already have that insert plan, they need to have that, because I think you're exactly right. That would do huge. So, and that was one of the things he did mention. Aaron did make a point of bringing out that there's going to be a lot more maybe memorabilia in different sets across the line. So you'll have like, and we just saw right in the Masterwork, the Star Wars Masterwork product that just came out, the Resistance inserts. So these relic cards that had pieces of one of the Star Wars Resistance rides, I guess, from Disneyland. It's like, oh, we're already seeing what this could look like. Now, granted, I know like a lot of the guys in my rooms, I want there to be something more than just a plain piece of plastic. Like that was a little underwhelming. And my hope is like, as we continue to branch out into more aspects of incorporating real life relics from either Disney rides or movies or whatever the case may be, we get, even more out there as far as like, every guy who collects a sports card with a patch on there, they don't want the napkin patch, what they call it, the single color, just plain white or something like that.
I think it's hard though, right? I think it's hard though to do that. I mean, you have a majority of the piece of thing that doesn't have a design on it, but I don't know if you pulled any like out of fives or 101s for that product.
I think we did. I think the best on that product was an out of 10 for those relics.
So I pulled a couple of out of 5 relics, and they do have like a little pinstripe and some color on it. They're saving the extra color and the fancy ones for like the lower numbered ones. So that I like. But yeah, like pieces of a ride for Disneyland is huge. Yeah, that's another great tie there. So a big thing that happened at Disneyland was it was a Tower of Terror at Disney California Adventure, and they tore it down for the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. So if you have pieces of Tower of Terror on that, I actually might be a buyer. So,
and here's the thing: that's what they were saying. They're doing a lot more with those, not just in the Disney product. They said specifically, even with Marvel, they've got like one of the cars from I think the Black Panther sequel. They've got the entire car that they'll be breaking up. And that was the other thing. They made an announcement at the show. I guess it was just a recent thing that they were going to have the actual like screen used Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer in some of these products, which is absolutely amazing. I think is going to be a big, big draw. Jumping over to Marvel now, the Marvel sets sound absolutely amazing to me. these are the ones that they mentioned. 2025 Topps Chrome Marvel Studios, then Topps 1975 Marvel Golden Anniversary. Okay, so that's Golden Anniversary from Marvel, not the Disney one. Then they've got 2025 Topps Infinity MCU Phase 1, Topps Chrome Deadpool, and then Topps Marvel The Collector. So I think that's like from the viewpoint of the character, the collector, going through the galaxy and collecting different parts of it. And I'm not exactly sure exactly what we'll have in that one, but they said it's from that viewpoint of a character. From there, we will wait and see. But the one that I think is really cool is the fact that they're going back and doing MCU Phase 1. So the one, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we all kind of started our love on, what will now be featured in card sets. That's very cool to me. And I'm very curious to see what kind of autos, what kind of relics, things like that we'll get from there.
I want to see a big fat jumbo relic on the hammers and the Captain America shield. Just make the whole card the relic for me. That's another problem. Like those little circles and you had a little piece. No, I want a big fat piece.
In the Marvel Avengers movie, the first one, you probably remember when Steve Rogers, Captain America, was trying to, or I can't remember, Coulson was trying to get Captain America to sign his card. There's no way they can't incorporate that into this set in some way. Like either it's the card, like it's the same kind of card that Coulson had of Captain America, or, be really cool if they somehow included that actual like movie used card in one of these sets, or at least maybe like a duplicate of it or something. That would be so insane to actually get the card from the movie. And it lends itself, I think, so well to it. Okay, so I have it. Movies featured in Phase 1 is going to be Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, The First Avenger, and then The Avengers. So those would be what we would see in that first Marvel Phase 1 MCU Infinity set. I think that's a lot of like, that may be
iconic.
Yeah, that may be one of the most popular sets that comes out from that until you get to maybe, like you said, like an in-game or something like that, or Infinity War / in-game. So there's that.
And being that it's the first set of its kind is huge.
Yeah, right. Like the fact that it's the first set of its kind, the fact that it's going to be some of the most popular movies of that whole series. The other one that I think a lot of guys are excited for is like the 2025 Topps Chrome Deadpool, which, I mean, yeah, like there's not going to be like an adult collector out there who's not going after that, especially since we know specifically that Ryan Reynolds will sign as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman will sign as Wolverine. That is going to be an absolutely chased product. My fear with all of these is overprinting. I just want it to be like certain limit to all of this, which I think they've actually done a pretty good job of in a lot of cases. But it's some of these that we're talking about how excited we are for like Phase 1 or like one of these Disney series sets to come out. I just want it to continue to be desirable. I don't want it to be like where people are like, oh, I could get it, but I don't want it anymore because I've had my fill.
I think that's such a crazy balance that they have to deal with, and I'm so glad that I don't have to make any decisions based on that, because it could go the other way really quick. Because if it's short print and it's going to be a battle of who or how to get as much of it possible, then and only have your hands on it, and there's so little of it, the price is just going to get crazy. So you got to have some sort of medium on there. You have to print it enough to where it stays at a price where it's still opening a box gets you some value back, and it's hard because like I said, like you said, and we said, there isn't a Marvel collector out there that's not going to want to rip this stuff or collect some of the stuff in here. So, well,
and they showed some of the images at the show itself, but they specifically, even though they said we were okay to post some of the stuff afterward, specifically they asked on the ones that were Disney owned, which would include all Pixar, Disney, and Marvel cards, not to show those. So I had to blur those out because Disney hasn't given final approval on some, but those were really, really good looking cards, like just the art alone, but also the fact that they're coming from the cinematic universe in a lot of cases. I think there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to all of these. And that, like you said, it just kind of comes down to that's their job. And I'm glad I don't have it. Yeah. Cause I mean, like, how do you do it the right way without upsetting someone? That's impossible. So, like, there's going to be people upset, but yeah, I hope it's within reason. Just a couple other things from my notes. So they did say, as far as it goes with relics, they said they would have Ahsoka set pieces, Brave New World, the cockpit that I guess Captain America flew in. Like we already mentioned, the car from Wakanda Forever, and then Thor's hammer and the shield. Let's see. Oh, Disneyland 70th anniversary set. I found my note. It says we'll be focusing on park and rides. Topps Disney Vault will have major relics and huge autos. It'll be a higher end one. So that's the higher end one. It's the Topps Disney Vault product that they announced. And then the other one is focusing on the park and rides. Like you said, Smuggler's Outpost will be a number of cards from different sets. I'm trying to go through and see if there's any additional notes here. GPK. Do you do much GPK on your channel?
Personally, no.
Yeah, I just did. For the first time, I got a case of the Series 7 GPK, and it's fun because like the guys who are into it are really into it. They'll typically educate me as I'm going through it. The art on them is very impressive. Some of the sketches alone were some of the better sketches I've seen in any product. But they did say they've got some fun stuff planned for like the 40th anniversary of GPK, including some signers like Chuck Norris, Mike Tyson involved in that product too. So that'll be fun. I think that kind of covers like most of the detail that we were given to be able to share with you guys. But overall, I think like the non-sport hobby is alive and thriving, and I think it's only growing at this point, especially Gary V talking about the same thing with the V Friends product launching this Wednesday. I know you're going to be breaking it. I'm breaking it. There's a few others breaking it, but what's really interesting to me is they're not breaking it, I think, outside the US, or at least most of the international guys I talked to said they weren't getting any product, which makes me think like, oh, it's going to be a little bit more limited, or it may not be as widespread as I initially thought, which again is just going to the thought of like how Gary's probably thinking of this as trying to make sure it gets into the hands of people that are bigger fans of it, and maybe like limiting it in some other places where they haven't been able to do as much marketing and push for it, because he has gotten such a good grasp of how to market some of these products to the non-sport world. And he is such a promoter of non-sport right now. It does make me think we are experiencing like a rise in non-sport, similar to what we might have seen in like the Pokemon uprising of like late 2024 and into 2025. I don't know if you've seen something similar, but it definitely seems to be a growing part of the hobby. I saw someone make this big post on social media the other day. It's like, oh, we're entering the junk wax 2.0. And we've been hearing that for years, but they're like, now that Topps announced all these non-sports, it's like, oh, this is exactly, I was in the hobby back then. This is exactly what you're going to see, is they're going to start putting out all these shows and movies. And I'm like, it's totally different. It's not the same thing. They're not just mass producing to the point where no one wants it, where it goes for cheap. They're adding autographs, they're adding relics, they're adding all these different parallels and numbering and trying to create more demand by scarcity. And they're doing a lot of things right. And it's just like, is it so crazy to think like, oh, this seemed good at the time, but they did it the wrong way. Now they're going to do it a different way to try and make it successful. Like many things have had a first coming and not done as well, and done extremely well on the second after they learned some lessons on how to do it the right way. So I don't know. I don't know if you've seen anything like that, but it makes me think like how we don't need to be like so afraid of like a junk wax 2.0 because they're making TV shows and movies into cards now. I think they are doing it a much better way than they used to.
And I think it's hard to compare whatever happened 10, 20 years ago to today because of breaking.
Yeah, for sure. It
Period.
it plays a
It's
different component.
game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a totally different aspect of people breaking and the reasons for that. And yeah, the fact that they're
entertainment that comes with breaking, all the social media, the community building. This is just a different thing that's going on now versus cards before. So
I couldn't agree more with you, Stephanie. And I've seen your shows, and I hold mine in a similar category of like, it's not a place where you just go and break. It's a community. It's you're there surrounded by people that you like, they like you. It's not just necessarily in the chat. There's conversations being held outside. You meet some of these guys in person, whether at shows or at other events, and it's like, oh wow, this is like building into something beyond just like me moving cards from my pockets to your pockets. It's like, oh, we're doing something where we get to be entertained by people we like, and at the same time, oh, there's going to be some card sales. So I don't know. I think it's a lot of, I think what we do is a lot of fun, but I think it's also one of these things where there's not enough people that realize breaking is different than maybe what they see on Whatnot or other places.
Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be different ways that everybody does things, right? But I think this idea of breaking as entertainment, community building is just getting started. And I think Gary Vee understands that he very much has that vibe in his V Friend streams, and it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, time will tell. I'm excited to see what it does. I will say, as far as V Friend specifically goes, I'm one of these guys who's like skeptically optimistic, because it's like, I don't want to throw all my eggs into one basket ever. And not that any of us are really doing that, but at the same time, I don't want to like give a full endorsement of this and then find out like, oh, the hype train died a week after release. I don't think that's going to happen based on the demand we're seeing right now. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I think if you are interested in it, check it out, but maybe don't spend like your month's paycheck on multiple boxes or cases of this. Kind of give it a chance to see like what's chaseable. Why do you like it? Where's it going? I think the message behind it is cool. The fact that he's going out, like trying to give a positive message to younger audiences, kids, even he said specifically like younger girls, to try and give a positive message there. I think these are all like really cool ideas behind it. And so that's why it's like, okay, yeah, I like what you're telling me. Now let's see, now that it hits the markets on Wednesday, let's see what the rest of the world thinks.
I'm excited. Like you said, I'm excited to give it a shot. I'm excited to learn more about it. And I'm really, more than anything, excited to get to know that community. I had the honor of speaking at VCon last year here in LA. And I got to meet a lot of, V Friends fans, Gary Vee fans, people who break V Friends pretty consistently. We had like a pop-up card show, like a marketplace there too, where I got to meet a lot of people. And I just thought that community was so strong and so very entrepreneurial, that kind of spirit is something that I obviously connect to a lot, being an entrepreneur. So yeah, I think V Friends in a lot of ways, because of the different characters, celebrates the entrepreneurial journey. And that's kind of where I'm connecting with the set from. And I think in getting all those people in the stream and getting to know them more and learning more about the set's going to be something I'm really going to enjoy. So that's kind of what my motto has been from the beginning with all of this, is that I'm going to try to enjoy the people I come across in these cards as much as I can, because that's what makes this all worth it for me. So I'm really excited to just relax on Wednesday and rip a bunch of V Friends.
Right there with you. I'm very excited myself, but I would say the rest of this year is looking pretty promising. I think we're both going to be very busy, you especially, but there's a lot of fun stuff to come. Oh yeah, only good ways. But here's the thing, you break sports stuff too, so yeah, you're going to be insane. But you got to.
Sports is a whole other thing. Yeah, the licenses with basketball and football. It's exciting.
Listen, Stephanie, hold it together, okay? We don't talk sports on this podcast.
Hey, I'm for it. I start saying like eventually I might not have to break sports at all, so we'll see. That's my goal.
Stephanie of Mama Breaks, you can check her out over on Fanatics Live. She's pretty much live all the time. I'd be shocked if you're not live breaking right now during this interview. Just
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
we do the interview next time while you break. That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, go check her out. Thank you again, Stephanie. Really do appreciate you coming on.